No, it's on. That's fine. Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the IHC's 5th Members Global Meeting. For those who are joining us remotely and attending the MGM, IHC Members Global Meeting is an annual event that gathers IHC's communities, members, and partners to celebrate the achievements of the year, share the future vision, discuss challenges and opportunities, and also invite observers to have a closer look to the humanitarian community's world, and therefore develop solutions and spread knowledge. This year, IHC is holding its 5th MGM meeting virtually given the pandemic situation. My name is Hana Al-Marzougi. I'm happy to be facilitating the event today. I would like to thank you, our members who are present here today. And we also would like to thank our partners, other members, and also guests who are attending our Members Global Meeting remotely today. Before we start the program though, and since we just concluded our participation in the Dubai International Humanitarian Aid and Development Conference and Exhibition, we would like to share with you our special edition of our bi-weekly video magazine that was specially prepared for the event today.
Hello and welcome to this latest edition of IHC Video Magazine. Welcome to this latest edition of IHC Video Magazine from Dihad.
IHC's participation in Dihad 2021 aims to engage with international humanitarian and charitable organizations around the world to share and exchange knowledge on challenges and opportunities during the COVID-19 period. We're also here to showcase and introduce the Dubai Vaccine Alliance, which is an initiative launched by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum back in February as a support to the international initiative COVAX that was launched by WHO. We also want to highlight IHC's members' achievements and initiatives during this year.
We are participating today at Dihad event at IHC and we are happy that we can have connections and meetings with other NGOs and in this event.
This is for the second time or third time that we are joining Dihad. Right now we are standing in the IHC stand, which was a golden opportunity to meet other partners and organizations to serve humanity across the world. Especially during this pandemic, we are focusing on sending hygiene items, millions of them that we sent last year, and we are going to increase it thanks to the collaborations that we have started with other organizations through this conference we had.
Pathfinder International are so happy to be part of Dihad 17th edition this year in Dubai. And as members of IHC International Humanitarian City, we're also delighted that we get the chance to meet with international and local organizations, hoping to create fruitful partnerships as well to serve the vulnerable people around the world.
We're here at the Dihad event at the IHC stand showcasing the DVLA. The DVLA is a method of us to help provide logistics solutions to transport vaccines to the developing world. We started in January and we're working together to make Dubai a hub, not only for vaccines but for medical supplies. And we were working with the humanitarian agencies, manufacturers, and government to make sure we get these vaccines to the countries that need them.
It's a pleasure for us to be here at the Dihad 2021 with the IHC. We at the Children's Cancer Center value our partnership a lot and membership with the IHC, enabling us to promote our cause and awareness about childhood cancer, control and support in Dubai, here in the United Arab Emirates. Being here has enabled us to actually connect again with IHC members, other IHC members, as well as the humanitarian and development aid sector in Dubai.
So this is the first year we are exhibiting at Jihad with 7 French companies in various sectors like nutrition or water. And visiting IHC was an amazing opportunity for them to understand why Dubai is a strategic location for delivering the humanitarian aid in the whole region.
Thank you for joining us in this special edition of IHC Video Magazine from See you soon. See you soon.
I'd like to encourage all our members to share their stories in our video magazine to inform the world about what's happening here in our community. Our meeting is going to extend to the next 3 hours. And we are going to, there are going to be very interesting discussions on different humanitarian matters. Let's first start with a welcome message from the chairman, His Excellency Mohammed Al-Shaybani, read by my colleague Khalid Al-Awadi, Director of Membership and Partnership, and start the program then.
Thank you, Hanan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Of course, it's a great pleasure to meet for the 5th time and hopefully for many years to come. As Hanan mentioned, we'll be conveying a message from His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim Al-Shaybani, Chairman of the Supreme Committee for the Supervision of the International Humanitarian City. 2020 was a year like no other. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted everyday life for millions of people across the globe, presenting unique challenges leading to unprecedented social and economic hardship. Yet the impact of the pandemic highlighted the critical importance of humanitarian assistance and collaboration. The realization of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum's vision for the International Humanitarian City, which is the world's largest humanitarian hub, was clearly demonstrated in 2020 as the IHC and its members led from the front, helping those most in need with an unmatched ability to swiftly respond to evolving challenges. IHC's shipments carried personal protective equipments, medical supplies, and other relief items over 119 countries worldwide. Impacted the severe outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. This was in addition to IHC's day-to-day role of responding to humanitarian disasters that arose. Airlifts reached 16 countries, including Sudan, Lebanon, Central African Republic, and Bangladesh, providing essential support and relief to communities in need. Thanks must be given to IHC CEO, Mr. Giuseppe Saba, and every one of his dedicated team, who worked tirelessly through that was a tremendously demanding year. I would also like to thank our members who continue to raise the bar, setting the standard for humanitarian response globally. In total, over 1,292 shipments were dispatched during this year. As a result of these efforts, IHC welcomed 9 new humanitarian members and grew its community through establishing strategic partnerships with key stakeholders such as Emirates Sky Cargo, Danata, and the University of Wollongong in Dubai. The growth enabled IHC to enhance operational solutions for all its members and swiftly facilitate large-scale operations and agile humanitarian response. 2021 will continue to require extraordinary efforts to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, support global vaccination campaigns, and continue responding to other emergencies that may arise. The IHC looks forward to continuing work and collaborate with you all to best serve humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. And now I invite Giuseppe Saba, our CEO, to share with you an overview of the year 2020. Giuseppe.
Thank you, Anand. Welcome to the 5th Members Global Meeting of the International Humanitarian City. I was just reading the list of the attendees, and I believe that I have to say very good early morning to somebody. Look in the list, and most probably a very good night for some others. And thanks to those that are joining this hybrid version of meeting that we have been obliged this year to adopt. If I can get Harold, my own presentation, I would like to start from where we left last year. So it's really different. Altogether, we were starting in respecting some social distances inside the room, not exactly into this photo, but this was the last 2020 MGF. Anyway, I'm not going to underline what everybody knows extremely well about the impact of the COVID-19, about lockdowns and so on and so on. No, I believe that I risk to repeat something that is extremely well known to everybody. The Members Global Meeting has a clear purpose to emphasize, first of all, what the community did in 2020. So let's see what all together we did, and then we can comment some of the humanitarian actions.
The International Humanitarian City in Dubai is the largest humanitarian hub in the world. Founded in 2003 by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and ruler of Dubai, through the merge of Dubai Aid City and the Dubai Humanitarian City. The International Humanitarian City is the only non-profit independent humanitarian free zone authority, hosting a community of around 87 members comprised of UN organizations, non-profits, and
Worry, technical problem. That is quite normal. We were not sharing the video.
The International Humanitarian City in Dubai is the largest humanitarian hub in the world. Founded in 2003 by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and ruler of Dubai, through the merge of Dubai Aid City and the Dubai Humanitarian City. The International Humanitarian City is the only non-profit independent humanitarian free zone authority, hosting a community of around 87 members comprised of UN organizations, non-profits and non-governmental organizations, in addition to commercial companies. The international humanitarian community in Dubai consists of about 500 people representing more than 68 nationalities. Strategically prepositioned on the path between Middle East, Asia, and Africa, enables the humanitarian community to reach within 4 to 8 hours 2/3 of the world population living in hazard-prone areas.
The 2017 to 20 data shows a progressive growth of the efforts done by IHC. As you can see, okay, we are reaching the peak of our operations in 2020, and no surprise because of the unprecedented large scale of the current emergency. If I look at the numbers, you can see that I've moved from 855 shipment to 1,292, almost double. We can also see the same reflecting on the aid value. We have jumped from 86 million in 2017 to around 130 million in 2020. The same trend, of course, reflects on the countries. We have managed to reach 126 countries in 2020. If I look at the stocks, the same will be reflected in the current stocks, showing the same growth. And that's no surprise. If I look at the various clusters, we can see that the health items grew exponentially, and they are reaching approximately 50% of the total aid prepositioned. If we look at the dashboard screens, you can see through the whole years, you can see that this is almost double, triple, 10 times over the last 4 years. In terms of responding to the various emergencies, with the aim of not leaving behind anybody, we responded to the Beirut blast in less than 24 hours. We have responded to Bangladesh, Somalia, Sudan, and the sub-Saharan countries, including the various emergencies of floods, population displaced, and food insecurity. All these efforts took extra miles and extraordinary efforts from the IHC community responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, despite all the challenges that you are all aware of in terms of the supply chain crash, the lockdown, and other obstacles. For Dubai, thanks to the Dubai Customs, Ministry of Health and Prevention, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the International Cooperation, who did their efforts to facilitate all our work during this pandemic and during this lockdown. We have devoted the majority of our shipments and our work in 2020 for the assistance of the population affected by COVID-19. The COVID-19 as well stimulated the generosity and the solidarity from the private sector, in particular from the excellence of logistics in Dubai, to whom IHC would like to take this opportunity to express their thanks and appreciation on behalf of the humanitarian community for all the support received and we are still receiving. The COVID-19 pandemic also imposed on IHC to accelerate new projects in order to adapt itself to the new demand. IHC community embarked in few innovative solutions for strengthening the efforts for an effective and efficient emergency response. We have set a kitting center, a semi-automated kitting center, where we are able to kit all types of medical hygiene and aid kits, and we can do around 800 kits a day. Also, we have finalized a cold chain center for the storage and management of medicines and vaccines. The storage composed of 8 cold rooms, 5 of which are able to provide a temperature between 2 to 8, and 3 of which are able to provide a temperature minus 21 degrees Celsius. In addition, we have 2 specialized freezers which can operate up to minus 70 degrees Celsius. A third innovative solution that IHC started basically in February 2018, and it has expanded further and further, is the Humanitarian Logistics Data Bank. This dashboard will be able to show you what, where, and who is managing the humanitarian aid worldwide. This project, we would like to embrace also the other countries hosting sister humanitarian cities. The Flash Studio also to raise awareness on humanitarian action. And last is the Center of Excellence for Health Logistics, an initiative that we are working very closely with WHO. If you look at the level of stocks reached in 2020 and the message, let's say the warning message received from the Director General of WHO for setting centralized and advanced pre-positioned stockpiles as part of the emergency preparedness for the future, this would require new approaches, best practices to adapt infrastructure and storage, and of course, best practices for management and transport of medical items. In such view, IHC is working closely with WHO, Health Logistics, and Emirates Sky Cargo, benefiting from their expertise for setting up a Center of Excellence for Health Logistics. IHC aims to involve the expertise of the academic institution, private sector companies recognized for their excellence in health logistics, and also the UN organizations to support IHC members in achieving a top-tier management of medical stocks.
IHC community is conscious of the challenges of the very near future. However, is confident on the established partnerships and new memberships which will ensure a sustainable, efficient, and effective humanitarian action.
Little bit long as a video, I have to admit, but in any case, it's long because you did quite a lot. The community did quite a lot. The numbers are always impressive, especially when we look at the composition of our members. We are approximately more than 80 members. We need to take care about our members, in particularly now, because especially those that are part of the humanitarian community are struggling with funding, are not only and exclusively the big organizations that are struggling with funds. The risk of having some of the NGOs disappearing from the panorama represents a concern for us. So our hope is that next year, I'm not going to tell you that instead of to have 87 members, I'm going to have less. That is the risk. Anyway, as you can see, the composition is from the UN family, from the humanitarian international organizations, but we still have also some commercial companies. You know, that is the peculiarity of IHC of combining together the presence of the humanitarians and the companies that are conducting a business humanitarian related. And I will continue to stress the fact that this combination is not there for facilitating the business. The purpose is to sit together with the companies handling technologies, handling innovation, working together with them, and proposing solutions for those challenges that the humanitarians are encountering into the field. I believe that during the past few days, during the Jihad, some examples came out. One of the examples, sorry for mentioning my former baby, UNHRD, but I saw that, for example, they work on the packaging for a tent where the package is going to be reutilized. So means that it's not going to be a problem tomorrow, that package, but it's going to become a value added. And I'm pretty sure that many other people, many other companies are working on innovation. Almost 500 people working together. This is the size of our community, coming from more than 60 different nationalities. Here you are. And my hope again is next year to get this picture even bigger. In the video just presented by Buran, what I can tell you is that 2020 reached all the peaks of activities related to the country served, to the number of dispatches, number of shipments, and value of aid. This is extremely important to note. We know the reason behind, but not necessarily we are done only and exclusively for COVID. So it means that we tried. I'm not saying that we succeeded. We tried as a community to not leave behind anybody, because obvious that out of $130 million of humanitarian aid, 99 went for COVID response, which means that the difference was not COVID. And same is for the number of dispatches and the country served. As IHC support, as you can see, during the 4 years, there is no doubt here the combination is the number of flights. We should look in 2017. We provided more than 21 million dirhams of flights for 20 flights, 18, 17 flights, then 10 in 2019 and 16 in 2020. But let me draw your attention on the 2020. An increase of the flights, less costs. The reason behind is that in 2020, the private sector spontaneously came to us and asking, how can we help the humanitarian community? I was really surprised when the same landlord from where we are renting the premises of IHC came to us offering free of charge space in order to support the community. I was surprised when after the Beirut blast, Emirates Sky Cargo came to us asking, how can we support you? And the answer was very straightforward. I'm extremely happy that you are helping us for moving goods into Lebanon. But please expand your action also to other emergencies. And this is what they did. So that is the reason of those figures. Then, as you can see, we went almost every in the countries that usually are those that we used to serve. I'm not going to highlight the figures of the dashboard as highlighted by Buran. I'm going to use another reading approach. Those are the screenshots of the logistics data bank for the past 4 years. From 43 million in 2017, we jumped into approximately 60 million in 2018, 94 million in 2019, 138 million in 2020. So means that the humanitarian community seated in Dubai progressively requested additional storage space. Progressively, the CEO of IHC requested the board to take more and more space. And I came on board more or less end of December 2016, even if officially I was appointed in March 2017. But what they requested immediately was to increase every single year I request to increase at least 10,000 square meters of space. In 2020, we closed the, at the beginning of the year, I did a request for exclusively additional space. We entered even into an optimization of the storage space, which means that we increased something like 25,000 pallet positions. This is the reading of the figures. The second reading that I'm going to give you is the health stocks. As you can see, 2017, they were 5.5 million, and then progressively went up to $60 million of stocks. And not because of the COVID. Let's make it clear. The reason behind is that initially WHO was managing some stocks for the Cairo office, and then they decided to move a couple of years, a little bit more than a year ago. They moved the largest operation, which is Yemen, from Djibouti, relocated into Dubai. So it means that there is a clear plan from WHO, which progressively is asking more and more space, because even other regional offices are requesting to create in Dubai their own main depots. And later on, I will show you even something that has been already anticipated by Buran in the video, the challenge that has been offered by Dr. Tedros, Director General of WHO, in establishing stockpiles in order to be ready for future pandemic situations. Because if you look into this, of course, we cannot say that we were ready for responding to a pandemic, but most probably for an epidemic situation. These are the current stocks today. We are already into $140 million of stocks. And as you can see, one by one, the value of the clusters are even growing and growing. This is just out of curiosity. Through these couple of slides, I would like to provide you the advantage of having created this dashboard, the Humanitarian Logistics Data Bank. In the summary of the various information, you can see that in 2019, basically the community was moving shelter, water and sanitation items, and that's it, more or less. The extremely active member was the World Food Programme, of course, in its component of fittest UNHRD and the colleagues of VLP, then IFRC, WHO, and so on and so on. Then we, of course, we went mainly into African region or Asia. But in 2020, mainly the community moved, largely personal protection equipment and some other materials for COVID-19 response. And here you have that the most active was WHO, then WFP, because of course WFP was logistically supporting many of the operations also of WHO, and not only, but also the other community. And then, of course, we went mainly into Asia and Africa region. Also here, I'm not going to take a long time. The challenges, you know very well, which were the crash of the supply chain, how the military assets have been extremely useful. But again, the concern was that COVID-19 was going to put us in the risk of forgetting that we still have to assist the refugees, people in the need of food, children assistance, and so on and so on. Let me look at 5 minutes into the future of the International Humanitarian City. We have a strategy which was launched by Zain Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum in 2015. Is the strategy 2015-2021. And what we are looking for the next 5 years is not to adopt any discontinuation from the current strategy, but to put in place other actions that are more trying to project IHC into the international theater. We talk about partnership. We have some technical problems with this presentation, guys. I'm seeing that even the audience is not seeing the presentation. Thank you. I'm keeping under control. I'm still in the need of my presentation, Harold, not other presentations. Okay, let's move ahead then. Yes, can you put please on full screen? As I was mentioning before, the private sector is becoming extremely important for us. I'm not going to spend too much on the Dubai Vaccine Logistics Alliance because we are going to have a dedicated session, as well as on the World Logistics Passport. But what I would like to say is that there is a link between the three. The third one is the impact group. The impact group is an interagency working group where IHC is part of, together with many others. And the objective is to try to facilitate in emergency operations and in the entry points of the affected countries, the humanitarian aid. We know very well we are doing the same job. Frequently, we have problems in the borders in order to bring in the humanitarian aid. The World Customs Organization, the UNCTAD, the trade organization, the humanitarian organization are doing the maximum efforts in order to work together and to try to identify solutions for a smooth movement of the humanitarian aid, which means that we are working on policies, we are working on the HS codes, we are working on the various steps. This group was managed, coordinated by OCHA, because OCHA, as a relief coordinator, is in charge. But due to internal reorganizations now, we are trying to identify a new coordination body for this group. This group will continue to work until we are not going to find a new house, anyway. The job is not going to be interrupted. But again, if you look at the word, the logistics passport has the same aim, but under the commercial point of view, but becoming part as a IHC, and so representing the humanitarian community, we are trying to take benefit of some privileges that are given to the World Logistics Passport, as well as when we talk about the Vaccine Alliance. This is the map of the, at least maybe I missed something. During the last UNHRD global meeting, I heard mentioning the possibility of opening a humanitarian hub under UNHRD umbrella, if I correctly understood. Marta, if I'm saying something wrong, please correct me. But we might have a new hub, a humanitarian hub in China. Why is it important for us? Because if you think about what I just said in terms of customs processes and so on, keeping in mind the humanitarian logistics data bank, this is a tool that should start in embracing all of the humanitarian hubs. Because again, if we look even of what the DG of the World Health Organization said here during the World Government Summit, clearly indicated that one list of the recommendation was we need to create centralized stockpiles. And to the statement of the DG, I added centralized and advanced stocks, which means that, my opinion, within this network, we have to work together, create within this network also advanced preposition stocks of medical items, but trying to use, of course, the best of the practices that we can. What we did immediately last year, but this was part of our plan, we created a new cold chain center. We created the kitting center. The kitting center is not absolutely a baby of IHC. Is a tool in the hands of our members. We invested money into this kitting center. There is a third party which is managing the kitting center, but we agreed for special rates which are applicable for the humanitarian community because the third party is managing something that is procured by ourselves. We are the owners of those equipments. They are not even paying electricity and so on, so they are just doing their own investment. Nagel, just to be clear, but we agreed for special rates for the kitting center, which means that can be for producing brand new kits or refreshing existing kits. But let's us go to the point. I said that at least in Dubai, we noted this exponential growth of health stocks. And there we need to start in thinking to jump into another level for managing the stocks. Which means that we need to rethink totally in terms of premises, first of all, to provide the best of the premises, the best of the infrastructure in order to host those medical stocks, to take agreement with the best of the logistics excellence, not only Dubai, but even in terms of academic institutions, and set up capacity building, set up to link together with the logistics data bank, and to try to prepare ourselves really for the jump, not only into another professional level, but exactly for the purpose mentioned by Dr. Tedros in his speech, mitigation, and to be prepared for any other future challenge. This is my last point. We just recently, the board approved the new organizational structure of the International Humanitarian City. Substantially, the organizational structure reflects the goals that the law is giving to us, which means that we have a division for operation, which is composed by logistics and humanitarian initiatives, together with the communication and marketing. The second department is the membership and partnership. As you can see here, for us, the membership and partnership is one of the most important aspects in terms not only of looking into new members, but in particular looking, let me say, into other partnerships which can bring us added value, such as the private sector or the academic institution, and then, of course, a central administration department whenever we have to manage funds, you need them. We are working on the new strategy. Our members will be consulted through interviews by the team that is going to take care about the strategy. Where personally I'm seeing IHC in 5 years is exactly into this geographical map. I'm seeing IHC working together with the other humanitarian hubs. I'm seeing IHC involving the hosting countries and not only the humanitarian organizations, but to get the hosting countries committed, engaged, because it's fine to fund, to create a humanitarian hub is an extremely good idea, but to be part and to feel to be part of the humanitarian hub of your country is something that is totally different. So this is what we are looking for. So which means that there is, yes, a humanitarian community, but we intend to expand the humanitarian community into something more, which is also a community of member countries that are hosting those humanitarian hubs worldwide. That is, let me say, the dream. With the 2020 Expo starting in October, we have the perception, at least looking what's happened in the past few weeks, where the diplomatic missions are coming more and more to visit IHC in preparation of visits, high-level visits coming during the Expo 2020. So, and this is a message, of course, that is extended to our members. Whenever you have your own big bosses, big directors coming in, feel free, because we are going to organize ourselves in order to arrange the visits and tours of the International Humanitarian City. Here, I'm obliged to stop because I intimated that 12:50, we have to close because we have something else to do and to continue. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Giuseppe. We'll now start the first panel to talk about how IHC and its community are reacting to the largest emergency in 2020. I would like to invite our colleague Buran Sleiman, Head of Logistics in IHC, our member from WHO, Robert Blanchard, and Alia Ghariba from Help Logistics, who are going to join us remotely today. Is it Robert coming?
Robert's joining online. Hi, everyone. I think I'll move the mask. Okay. I will be basically doing the introduction for the Center of Excellence, and I will be joined by my two colleagues, Robert Blanchard in charge of WHO logistics in the IHC, and Alia Gharaibe, head of help logistics in the Amman office. Okay, so actually Giuseppe said almost everything, but I will go more in details. Okay, so Alia, and this is Robert. And maybe after the introduction, we will give them the space in order to introduce themselves and talk further about the role that they will play in the Center of Excellence. Agreed? All right. I wanted to say this is a new initiative, and not because Giuseppe is my boss, but definitely he sees the future. Because we started working on this even before the COVID started. We started working on a cold chain, expanding the cold chain, and working on a kitting area without knowing COVID will happen. When COVID happens, the only thing that happened is we accelerated the work, and it accentuated the need for the medical response for this emergency. Robert? Just looking for the... Okay, so basically, I want to touch on the strategic objectives of IHC, mainly number 3, where we are actively to provide a quick and effective emergency response platform. So this is one part of it. Okay, no worries. And I'll take you further also to another thing that basically stressed the need for this Center of Excellence, and looking forward is the World Government Summit that happened in Dubai in June 2020, where the WHO Director General has basically stressed 7 areas that we need to strengthen in order to be ready for the coming emergency or pandemic. Stressing on area 3, where he's saying one way to do this is through a global health emergency stockpile for medical equipment. So combined with the strategic objectives and with this note from the WHO Director General, this is the strategic objective I was talking about. Let's hear just the notes that were provided by the WHO Director General together. On the 3rd slide. Yeah.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, I would like to conclude with 7 areas in which the international community must work together to mitigate and prevent future pandemics. Third, the world needs to fundamentally shift the atomized and uncoordinated mechanisms by which essential health commodities are managed. One way to do this is through a global health emergency stockpile for medical equipment and supplies, based on both physical stocks and a virtual pandemic supply chain network. So finally, and 7th, and most importantly, the world is in desperate need of national unity and global solidarity. The politicization of the pandemic has exacerbated it. Ultimately, the pandemic has shown that we are humanity, one humanity, and none of us are safe until all of us are safe.
So basically,
Excellencies, dear colleagues.
No, so basically building on this, and this is definitely a real important statement. Maybe we have some already existing work on this, but we need to work more and we need to improve further. In addition, as I said, referring to our objective, and more importantly, if we look at the data provided by the Logistics Data Bank, not only, okay, of course, COVID basically have doubled 10 times almost the stocks of health logistics and the response to the pandemic, but in general, we already could see through the previous year that there is a constant increase in the response to the health requirements. So the health cluster stocks and aid shipments has basically increasing. And if I look at the 3rd slide, which Robert has basically shared with me, detailing more the WHO response and having an overview of the same period of the year for the 1st quarter between 2016 until 2021, you will see with me that not only because of COVID, which is in 2020, that the stocks has increased or the response has increased, but also responding to other emergencies. Robert, would you like to comment on this? Because I'm sure you will be able to provide more information on those 2 slides coming.
Hi, good morning, Boran and fellow members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to reflect on COVID-19, but also our aspirations for the future. As was mentioned, COVID-19 has impacted all of us personally and professionally, and we've had to adapt to new ways of working together and also new ways of reaching the people we serve. And although WHO is very much at the forefront of the response, we're not alone. It takes the entire humanitarian community to make this work. And as Dr. Tedros said, none of us are safe until all of us are safe. So we as a humanitarian community have to continue to partner and work together to make that a reality. The data that we'll share today, I think will highlight some of the trends and perhaps provide some insights into what may lie ahead. It basically, for us, provides the basis of the vision for the Center for Health Logistics. And, to do that, focusing on lessons learned, capturing them, and also harnessing academic research and innovation. So if we can share the first graph, what it shows, it depicts the value of medical supplies dispatched by WHO since 2015. And of course, you can see there that in 2020, it was a historic year where we dispatched more supplies to more countries than the previous 5 years combined. But if you look at the colors of the graph, what you see is that the blue is actually the COVID health supplies, and the green is the non-COVID. So as you move into 2021, what we see is that there's more non-COVID supplies currently being dispatched than COVID supplies. And that makes sense as production has ramped up in China and the distribution networks have been able to direct those supplies to the countries. The graph on the bottom shows you basically that these are the regions that we serve. Initially, it was focused on the Eastern Mediterranean region, which is in orange. But then in 2020, it was the first time we reached all 6 WHO geographic regions, from basically Venezuela to the Philippines. We've already repeated that this year. So if you look on top there from 2017 until the first quarter of 2021, what we see is we're left with an increasing trend, an increasing demand for pre-positioned health commodities. And that demand is global. The table on the far right just captures that at this moment in time, the operation is on pace to exceed the levels that we had from last year. And that's a concern for us operationally, but it's also a concern, for the organization in terms of maintaining the funding and the support for these operations. On the next slide, please. What we wanted to highlight here with this, is that our health is diverse. It's not just COVID-19. It encompasses all health emergencies. So we're supporting responses to Ebola in West Africa, meningitis response to Niger. We have dispatched malaria, polio, yellow fever supplies across the globe, across multiple regions. And so this basically supports the idea or the vision of the Center for Health Excellence that we do have an increasing demand across many different disease-specific programs, as well as country programs for the provision of medical supplies, health supplies, equipment, and materials. So as we are increasing this response globally with Ebola responses, with cholera responses to Africa, the systems are being put under pressure. And the work that we've accomplished this far through 2020 and now 2021 simply wouldn't be possible without the incredible support that we receive from the IHC, from the World Food Program, and from Emirates Sky Cargo in particular. And these partners are vital to our ability to dispatch health supplies globally. We recently dispatched for the first time a group of logistics experts to Sudan on a charter flight. And that shows that, again, we have the capabilities here in Dubai, in the UAE, to provide technical assistance to countries, to reinforce their teams, to diversify the support that we provide to them. And this is critical. What the IHC and UAE have supported in this development of a humanitarian community is unparalleled. And we hope that it could be exported to other regions to strengthen those areas, as Giuseppe had mentioned previously. So again, thank you so much for the time. Really a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay. Thank you very much for this interesting information, which basically, again, stresses the fact that it's not only because of COVID we are coming with this idea, but there is a long-term need for the Center of Excellence. What we are looking at having, strengthening the level of management for the health supplies stocks. We are looking at state-of-art infrastructure. We are looking at capacity building and, of course, ensuring best practices. Also based on an assessment in order to fill the gaps and improve our response to emergencies and for advanced prepositioned stocks. We're also looking at knowledge sharing, combine what we have acquired, what our partners basically will share with us, and then also replicated in other sister humanitarian hubs in the world. Basically, I was just touching on the same slides that Giuseppe has mentioned about the vision and the objectives, and on the designing of the global health supply chain. The next slide, please. Thank you. So these basically are the main pillars that we will be looking at. It's mainly capacity building and training. We're looking at innovative solutions, rapid response, and emergency response. We are confident that we have all this here at IHC. In terms of capacity building and training, we have a very strong stakeholders, IHC members. You have a massive experience and professional expertise. We have also an excellent sector, a public-private sector, who have the know-how, like Emirates Sky Cargo and Help Logistics, in addition to building also on partnerships with academic institutions. Innovative technology, not only limited to the logistics data bank, but if we will talk about the logistics data bank, it helped us to get more visibility, more transparency, more agile movement, and of course, being more cost efficient in terms of knowing where are those stocks, how we can access them, how we are responding to those ones. On the rapid response, Robert touched basically on sending teams. So I'll be talking about the government support. It's not only in terms of giving you in-kind transport, but also probably deploying your missions to the required destinations. Local suppliers, it's definitely a very important area. And we saw the need for this during COVID, where you couldn't import or export. You had a lot of regulations and restrictions. So we really need to look at whom we have here and to invest on those suppliers for the long term. Further collaboration and coordination between the IHC stakeholders and, of course, network coordination. In terms of emergency preparedness, probably we are just responding to emergencies as they come, or we are prepositioning stocks as they are. But the current emergency basically taught us, in order to be more selective, be more accurate in terms of what we want to keep here and what we want to ship. So the lessons learned from the COVID-19 definitely has to be taken into consideration. And also now, I think in the next presentation with my colleagues from Emirates Sky Cargo, you will see also now we started to acquire more lessons learned on the vaccines response, something nobody had, let's say, any idea, because we are always dealing with the traditional vaccines. But the amount of doses that we have to move and the specialty of those vaccines definitely impose a lot of new challenges. Infrastructure availability, I will show you a small video of what is available currently, but this is something that IHC will be always working on. So in addition to the kitting area, the cold chain, and also the state-of-the-art offices for WHO, we will be looking at further expanding in terms of training centers, inviting more academic institutions, as I said, equip the compound or the premises here with whatever is required for this center of excellence. Can just have a quick video on showing you about those facilities I'm talking about. Robert has done basically a great job in terms of transferring all those showrooms and offices. This is the cold chain. As just mentioned, it consists of 8 chambers. 5 of them are cold temperature and 3 of them are freezers up to -20. CBM of approximately total maybe 250 to 300 CBM. In addition to 2 specialized freezers of -75, and they are currently in use by WHO. Semi-automated kitting area, responding to the requirements mainly of medical equipment, health kits, and of course, because it has separate 3 lines, it can be easily separated and used for other commodities, as for example, education kits if needed. Okay, thank you. So going back to the same slide in terms of the sister humanitarian hubs, what we are aiming as well to start in Dubai and to share this knowledge. First of all, we are trying to link those hubs on the logistics data bank. We are almost finalizing with Panama, ongoing work with Brindisi and Spain and Ghana, and hopefully the rest will come. So in addition to the logistics data bank, we are looking at sharing this knowledge and expertise. Once the Center of Excellence is set in Dubai, we will basically be able to share this knowledge among the other hubs, which leads me basically to the stakeholders. In order to do this, we need to have stakeholders who are working together with IHC in order to make this possible. So for the coordination between the various governments and the various hubs, we were looking at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to support in this thing. For the management of the Center of Excellence, we are looking mainly at the cooperation between IHC and WHO. And the Dubai Customs role, I don't think so I need to explain further, because what they have done during COVID was basically a clear testimony of their support. We used to manage to clear the shipments within hours during the lockdown. And I'm sure this great facilitation is one of the key factors for us in order to be proactive and in order to respond immediately. Help Logistics, I'll give the floor to Alia afterwards, just to give us an idea about Help Logistics and their role. And we definitely rely on their support in terms of capacity building, in terms of know-how, and in terms of assessment that we need in the field. Also because they are working very closely with the various UN organizations, and they have done a lot of studies and training for the same. Emirates Sky Cargo, I'm not talking about them here as a service provider or a network that's able to reach almost 130 destinations, but also they have a tremendous expertise in terms of the pharma industry, and we can definitely build on this and rely on this. Last, we are still looking at reaching to various academic institutions. We have some MOUs with some universities, but we are also still targeting the KL University through the Help Foundation and WHO Academy. Next step. So we need to work a little bit closer with Robert, with WHO, in order to materialize the project document and move ahead. We need also the support of Ihc in order to help us in reaching to the other hubs, and Help Logistics. And here I will hand the floor to Alia, to help us with the assessment plan, the gaps that we need to work on, and what needs to be done in order to initiate the Center of Excellence. Thank you. Alia?
Thank you, Buran, for the presentation and the information, and thank you, Robert, as well. But I would like to thank the IHC for having Help Logistics as part of the success story over the last few years. Help Logistics is basically a part of a larger foundation, the Kuna Foundation. At Help Logistics, our ambition is to be a catalyst for transferring supply chain knowledge and experience that will basically improve the lives and opportunities. So we have a strong health agenda to strengthen health system supply chains and increase the availability of essential medicines to patients and equipment to health workers. Health Logistics, with its partners and the local ministries of health, work together to do things like analyzing and identifying bottlenecks in national systems and recommending supply chain reforms to strengthen these systems for health commodities management. We also aim to increase the number of public health professionals by delivering training programs and strengthening the existing regional training institutions. Of course, we incorporate supply chain education and training for health workers as part of our sustainable strategy. We have been very happy to collaborate with the IHC over the past few years, but especially in the establishment of the Health Logistics Center of Excellence, starting with contributing to the efforts of establishing the kitting center, the cold storage, but also delivering courses targeted at organizations, for example, for last year, responding to the pandemic, like the Medical Logistics in Pandemic online course, which we are now developing to cover also vaccination campaigns. However, in order to further support the establishment of the Center of Excellence, we are glad to also draw on the resources of our network and the resources available at the Kuna Foundation, including the Humanitarian Logistics Center of Excellence cohort that is basically hosted at the Kuna Logistics University. This is where we can collaborate to work on operational research, innovation, and to customize training and higher education with the IHC and IHC members. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Alia. So I think this is a brief introduction of the Center of Excellence. If you have any questions, please. Okay, we will wait until it's starting. I'm sure we will get a lot of questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Buran, Robert, and Alia. Back in February 2020, IHC signed an MOU with the University of Wollongong in Dubai to support its Master of International Relations program and to collaborate on various humanitarian matters. Today, we have some good news. An announcement by Dr. Faraz Hamza, Head of School of Humanities, Social Sciences and Health. He's going to join us today. Dr. Faraz, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Hanan. Thank you. I was just being promoted to host, so I think there was a whirling circle, as is the ways of technologies. Good morning and good evening, actually, to all of the distinguished members who are here today in different time zones. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really honored to be here. I'd like to thank actually Hanan in particular for facilitating my presence here today on behalf of the University of Wollongong in Dubai. Really honored to be here at your 5th Members Global Meeting. As Hanan rightly noted, we signed a memorandum of understanding actually just before the crisis, and nobody at the time thought that a little bit of protein with some RNA inside it would disrupt us so much, of course. But that's one of the grand contradictions, I think, of the age in which we live, is that we are at once so advanced in all kinds of ways, in technologies, in transport, in communications, but at the same time we suffer from so many challenges. I think humanitarian being foremost, perhaps, and of course the climate and what we have done to it in this age of the Anthropocene, in which humankind have more power than ever before, but of course that power has to be channeled to good purposes. So we at the School of the Humanities in Wollongong, we are proud actually, because I say this from my heart actually, I say that we are proud in the sense that there is still something called the School of Humanities in this world, in an increasingly otherwise very quite commodified educational system. The humanities reminds us of those essential questions, I guess, of what kind of society we want to be, and what kind of lives we want to live, we need to lead, and what really is the purpose of our presence here, short presence here on Earth. You know, and I think this MOU with IHC has really borne fruit already. We are already collaborating with IHC on a couple of major projects to do with food security and supply chain logistics with some of our colleagues, my colleagues in the faculties of business and engineering. So, and this today, I'm happy to bring forth to you another fruit of this collaboration, which is the announcement that the University of Wollongong in Dubai, in partnership with the International Humanitarian City, will be supporting a 100% scholarship, fully funded, of course, for the most outstanding Emirati student to pursue a Master of International Relations at our university. This scholarship will be held in the name of His Highness, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. We are very happy that the Prime Minister's office has agreed for us to announce that, and this is really a wonderful opportunity for both our institutions to do yet another role, play another role, another part in the vision, the Dubai vision in particular, but of course the UAE vision in general, for a transformative kind of leadership in which the UAE finds itself in the position of global leadership that it finds itself, and to train a new generation of thinkers and leaders in essential areas: international aid and cooperation, diplomacy and peace, and of course a global sustainable future for all of us and the generations to come. So really, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I know you have a long agenda and perhaps other more important faces to speak than mine, but really I'm honored, and I would just like to salute and send my regards to the director Giuseppe and the deputy director Dr. Khalid, as well as Hanan again, and all of our colleagues, and thank you all distinguished members of the global membership of the IHC for allowing me to speak and announce the scholarship. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your positive words. We at IHC very much appreciate this initiative, and we really value our partnership with the University of Wollongong, and looking forward to more fruitful projects in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So now allow me to introduce our second panel for the day. We have a panel around the Dubai Vaccine Logistics Alliance. We welcome Mr. Faisal Mullah from Dubai Airports, Ryan Quinlan and Salam Sano from DP World, Julian Such from Emirates Sky Cargo, and Giuseppe from IHC. Kindly leave your questions in the Q&A box to help us answer them after the session.
A long time without seeing each other, I believe. Considering that up to yesterday, we are all together in the Riyadh. Thank you so much for your time. Salam. And please, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not going to spend too much time because I prefer to leave directly to our partners to talk about the DVLA. In my previous briefing, I already said that in 2020, the Dubai private sector has been extremely active, proactive. In reality, there's been extremely generous. Spontaneously, they came to us, offering their own support for responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. There is no doubt that the private sector is one of the essential elements, considering that we cannot continue to count only and exclusively from the government support. Many of us, as part of the humanitarian community, we used to knock the doors of the governments, international cooperation offices, but we know very well that we need the support of the private sector. And this kind of initiative, when was announced, honestly speaking, we were extremely happy, because once again, I'm talking about the best of the logistics experts who decide to work together with the humanitarians. We know very well that the humanitarian logistics is something different, but trust me, when I visited the premises of Emirates Sky Cargo, we know extremely well how does it work, Dubai airports and DP World. Well, we say that is one of the best combinations and the best opportunities that we can have. Salam, do you like to start you? Can I pass the floor to you? Can you please allow Salam to? Very good. The floor is yours.
Hey, I'm not sure, is Salam allowed? Salam, are you able to speak?
I can also just kick off from a start, if you like, guys, just for the beginning of the this presentation. I'm not sure if they're able to put the presentation up so people can see, but basically, the Dubai Vaccine Alliance, is he there?
Julian, if you wait a moment, we are going to upload the presentation.
Sure. Okay.
Is there? Can we have the presentation? Aaron? Okay, Julia, could you please share yourself the presentation?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me see if I can just share it. 1 second. Can you see that now?
No.
Oh, hang on a second. That's strange. I've shared it. Oh, 1 minute. Let me see. That should have come up now, Giuseppe.
I have some witness with me.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Let me try again. Oh, that's strange. Is that because that's now sharing on my screen?
Harold, you may need to authorize him for sharing the screen.
One second, Lee. Let me try this. Can you see that now, Giuseppe?
No.
Oh. This is strange. One second.
Julian or Jan, one of the two. Go ahead without, I'm pretty sure that you can provide us with a good range of information, even in the absence of the.
Sure. Ah, there we go. Hang on. There it is. Now it's there. Can everyone see that? I think, hopefully. So I take it hopefully everyone can. So the Dubai Vaccine Alliance, as said, was launched by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum in January, and it's being driven very much from the top, from our perspective, by His Highness Sheikh Ahmed as well. Yeah. And so from an Emirates standpoint and from the, we looked at it with the team, with yourselves, DP World, Dubai Airports, to look at really the ways we could come together, combine our joint facilities, infrastructure, processes and stuff to make sure that these vaccines get to, the developing world. As Emirates, as Baran kindly said, we do have a vast experience in moving pharmaceuticals and vaccines. We move approximately 1.7 million kilos of pharmaceuticals, temperature controlled, every week. And we've already, as I'm sure everyone's seen in the press as well, we've started heavily moving the Unicef shipments to over 15 destinations so far. So the Alliance really is looking at using Dubai as a strategic hub, given that we're in a fantastic location, using the Emirates network, as Baran said as well, of over 130 destinations, but predominantly our strengths from this region is making sure we can get to those countries that need it most. So the Alliance brings together several different partners, including IHC, everyone knows well, but also DP World, Dubai Airports, and Emirates Sky Cargo, of course. And we all have our strengths with infrastructure in various places all over the world. I won't go into too much with the others, but from Emirates standpoint, we have considerable facilities here, of course, in Dubai, in both DXB and DWC. In our DWC facility, it is the largest airside pharmaceutical facility in the world. We can store over 2,000 pallets of temperature controlled. And one of the great reasons for Dubai strategic location is that, as everyone's probably aware, one of the main challenges is to make sure these vaccines get to destinations. But in many of these destinations, they do lack the infrastructure of temperature control. So what we're able to do in Dubai is we can bring in vaccines and medical equipment into Dubai in bulk. We have then the ability to hold it here in that temperature control, and then release those shipments in smaller amounts to these countries so they don't struggle at destination to be able to keep those in temperature control, because that's that's the key focus for vaccines. We of course have various different manufacturers around the world. They're all using different types of packaging materials. They're all needed to be stored in different temperatures, from everyone's aware, from -70, but predominantly as well in +5 degrees. And there are various ways that types of equipment that we can use to keep those at that temperature. As you can see on the slide on the screen, Dubai is in a fantastic location, right? Being able to reach 2 billion people within a 3-hour flight, and almost 6 billion people further abroad. And that key scope there is really where it's needed most. As we know, in the developed world, the ability to get vaccines is there, but it is those developing nations that are going to struggle, and that's why we are here as a team with yourselves and the other alliance partners to make sure we can get those vaccines and that medical equipment to those destinations. You can just move to the next slide, right? So this is an example of our facility here in DWC, where we have basically 72 cool cells that can store just under 2,000 pallets as well. Then we have various other chambers as well. The ideal situation for this is that the aircrafts park right outside. But we can also, and we have been currently using DXB. DXB, of course, is where our passenger aircraft are located, and we have huge reach to over 130 destinations where we can move vaccines very quickly. So especially at the moment, the first batch of vaccines we've been moving have been flying straight through Dubai to where's needed. But again, we can stop them here. We have availability of different types of packaging solutions, and we can also what's called re-ice. So a lot of shipments need re-icing when they come through Dubai to make sure we keep that temperature control. We just move to the next slide. And another key thing is not just in Dubai, of course. We have our pharma stations around the world, and we work very, very close with our handling partners to make sure these products, as soon as the aircraft landed, are taken off very quickly and moved to these temperature control facilities. And we do that all with GDP. So GDP is the governing body that looks the good distribution practice of how medicinal products should be moved. So not only DXB and DWC, but also the road feeder service we have that connects both of those airports. So we are GDP certified by Bureau Veritas, which basically proves that we know and have the capability to store pharmaceutical temperature control product and vaccines to how they're meant to be kept. I think in the next slide, I will hand over to DP World, who can tell us a little bit about their infrastructure.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Giuseppe, can you hear me okay?
It's perfect, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, very, very nice to see everyone, and appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all. So DP World, as has been said before, believes that unless the vaccine ends for everyone, it will not end for anyone. And as distributing the vaccine has become one of the biggest challenges since the end of the Second World War, this has enlightened or encouraged us to become a part of this effort to support the vaccine distribution. But as we were just saying earlier in the presentation, of the 12 billion doses expected to be produced, about 9 billion shots have been reserved for wealthier countries. And that's just 14% of the world's population. So we believe, as you can see with this slide, that our 61 ports and terminals have a unique opportunity to be able to get some of the vaccines to some of the other countries as well. So we've also partnered with Unicef, which aims to distribute 2 billion doses. And you can see that we are connecting global supply chains. So we are evolving as a company to be an end-to-end logistics and supply chain player, both before supply chains get to the ports and terminals, our traditional business, and after they go through our ports and terminals. So because we have this unique capability, we believe that we have a unique opportunity to be a part of this alliance. Next slide. We're also developing unique healthcare solutions such as cold chain, pharma warehouses. We own the assets that we have throughout the world, 61 ports and terminals, like I said before. And this allows us to create multimodal solutions. And wrapping all of this globally is a digital set of capabilities that allow our customers and our partners to have visibility into their freight, to have expedited clearance. And we believe now, as we build up our healthcare expertise, that this enables us to be able to contribute quite effectively to this alliance. And as I mentioned before, we've entered into a 3-year partnership with Unicef to help distribute their vaccines. and to be a part of what they're doing worldwide to distribute the 2 billion vaccines that they have a goal to be able to do. This would enable us, or our role in this is to provide logistics support and expertise and to plug in the gaps of the supply chain where they need it most. So we're in partnership with them right now and developing which specific efforts we as DP World will plug into. And we believe this is a key part, like I said, to be able to get the vaccine to everyone worldwide. Now I'll hand over to the airports, Dubai airports.
I believe Faisal should be online, who's coming from Dubai airports. Is Faisal in? Who's there?
I think he's there. He's just muted. He just needs to unmute.
Could you please unmute Faisal, guys?
Yes, good morning.
Morning. Thanks for coming, Faisal. Please go ahead.
You're most welcome. Okay, so I would like to brief you very quickly about what Dubai Airport's doing in efforts to support the DVLA Alliance. We have had several improvement programs in terms of developing the facilities for the receiving of the vaccination via the space in the currently known as the Flower Center. It is approximately 3,000 square meter of space allocated. It has a couple of chambers over there, covering different ranges of temperatures between 2 to 8 degrees. We have also from 8 to 15. Also with multiple options of handling the different kind of vaccine requirement as well as pharmaceuticals in general. We have also, in addition on that, initiated the VaxCore project, which covers also the alliance that we have with Hyderabad Airport to improve on the move of vaccine, creating a hub in Dubai and spreading it to the rest of the network, feeding from Dubai. This, as you can see, the illustration over here shows that the cooperation and the MOU that have been signed with Hyderabad to cover all the different aspects of how the shipments will start from the origin, from the manufacturers, I might add, feeding into GMR, offering solutions of live tracking for the destinations and for whoever throughout the supply chain, and receiving it in Dubai in the facilities I highlighted earlier, and having such sort of cooperation with the different entity offers a complete and a transparent movement from the minute that it leaves the factories in Hyderabad all the way to its intended destinations. The VaxCore, of course, obviously there is a lot of logistical arrangement to support the initiative of cooperation with GMR, but it is only one aspect of the entire initiative that Dubai airports have started, led by CBM. So we have the obviously the communication and the branding. We have the share of certain resources that we've done with Hyderabad Airport in terms of not only in terms of connectivity but technical capability that allows the two teams to be confident enough of the move of the vaccines. We have met and spoke with more than one freight forwarder and global integrators of connecting them together with their headquarters in both sides. We're looking also at launching few webinars to talk to different entities in the market in advice to support the movement of vaccine and ensure that we don't have any hiccup in such movement, and we emphasize and support the further cooperation between the two markets. We also intend to talk a little bit more about the Hyderabad DXB VaxCore initiative during the Air Cargo Europe, but the official launch obviously will have a much bigger coverage for the initiative during the Dubai Air Show. Next, please. Next.
It appears that this is the last slide that we have, Faisal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sab.
No problem. Thank you very much to DP World, Emirates Sky Cargo, and Dubai Airports for their own contribution. Just to add that we recently signed an agreement among ourselves. It's a commitment that is going on for at least a couple of years. This is what we are estimating currently. Of course, if needed, all of us are willing to extend this agreement. We have weekly meetings during which we are, of course, discussing mainly operational aspects as well as some marketing and communication aspects. I don't know if you have any question from the audience or internally here. Just to take the opportunity of the colleagues. Harold? No questions? Okay, I'm pretty sure that if somebody has questions, then we will address. Thank you so much to everybody, and I will leave the floor again to our facilitator, to Anand. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Very much. Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you to our partners. Let's have some excitement for the day. I know it's been a long discussion. We're going to have some of our members who submitted for the MGM Award, the shortlisted applications, and the finalists are going to present their projects to us today. I advise you to stay because you're going to see some of the best projects of our members done during the year 2020. Let's invite the first finalist. Is he going to be with us remotely? Okay. Nahd Developmental Foundation is going to join us remotely to present their presentation. For the audience, the members joining us here in the room or remotely, After all the presentations have been presented, we'll ask you to vote for the best project in your opinion. There are 4 categories. First category is the most remarkable SDG-focused project, most remarkable awareness project, most innovative solution, and most remarkable COVID-19 project. So we're going to start with the best awareness campaign with the Nahd Developmental Foundation. Mohammed bin Thabit, the floor is yours.
According to UN reports, Yemen is suffering the world's worst humanitarian crisis. COVID-19 began to spread around the world. It hit Yemen with its already fragile health system, causing many concerns for Yemenis population who already lack the basic necessities of life. This marked a really tough period for Yemenis that made their minds full of fear for their lives and how this pandemic would be confronted. Health supplies have run short due to not only the outbreak of the COVID-19, but also the already spread of viral fevers and contagious diseases that have stalked Yemen since the outbreak of the crisis. The only way to fight the coronavirus pandemic was to get in the top of it and alleviate its impact on the population. This was a key concern for Nahd Developmental Foundation. Since the beginning of the pandemic outbreak, NDF has conducted an assessment of health and humanitarian needs. This was based on the NDF's strategic vision, areas of focus for humanitarian response and emergencies. Nahd Developmental Foundation launched the campaign of Awareness Means Life in March 2020, which was an important early step to aware the community about the coronavirus pandemic, improve health facilities, and support healthcare services sustainability. Awareness Means Life campaign has reached remarkable results against the set objectives as follows. Objective 1, raising community awareness on preventive measures against COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in producing 60 educational content, brochures, infographics, motion graphics, and video graphics. Printing 15,000 educational brochures. Awareness posts reached more than 1 million people on social media. 670 volunteers participated in the campaign. Objective 2, improvement of healthcare procedures as per WHO standards, which resulted in habilitating 72 health workers on case management of COVID-19 patients in accordance with the WHO standards for COVID-19, translating and disseminating health guides, fair standards and response to coronavirus. Objective 3, to support the continuity of healthcare services delivery and contribute to improving healthcare services to be in line with the standards of emergency response to COVID-19, which resulted in equipping 8 health facilities with PPE and other essential equipment to respond to COVID-19, providing PPE for more than 1,000 beneficiaries. Objective 4, decreasing the rate of viral infection cases, dengue fever, chikungunya in Mukalla city, which resulted in reducing the number of viral fevers cases at 72%. The number of beneficiaries of the activities to combat viral fevers were more than 700,000 beneficiaries. According
Yes, thank you very much. This
very much. There should be a slideshow for us. I will do, yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. So I'm Sunil Lavani from Project Maoji. So good day to everyone, and it's a real pleasure to be here as new members of IHC to be recognized already. So Project Maoji is a safe water enterprise, and we focus on delivering solar-powered water kiosks to small rural areas across sub-Saharan Africa. Our stated mission is to provide sustainable access to clean water to more than 1 million people across Ghana and Kenya by 2025. So far, we are operating in more than 70 communities in those two countries. So while safe water has been our main focus, last year when COVID hit, we really pivoted a little bit to focus on the more than 3 billion people who do not have access to safe hand washing facilities. And we all know that a key intervention to preventing COVID spread is just the simple matter of hand washing with soap. Now, the real challenge is in those communities, people don't even have access to that kind of facility or knowledge. So we developed what we call the Maoji bucket, which is a low-cost, low-tech, easy to install, easy to manufacture, foot-operated hand washing system. So we could now go in and empower communities to wash their hands with soap, prevent themselves against disease, and when they're switching off the tap, they don't use their hands to recontaminate, but they can do it with a foot pedal. Now, how are we going to deploy this? Well, we had to raise awareness so that we could get people on board and we could raise money to have a big impact. So we started the Sweat for Soap campaign. We did this kicking off on Global Hand Washing Day last year in November, and we ran a campaign for about a week. We got, to champion this, we got Mina Guli, who is a water warrior and an ultra runner, and has really committed her life towards global water causes. Our target set was to get a community of runners and walkers across the world to run and walk during that week and post their mileage on social media. And we set ourselves a target that cumulatively, for every 100 kilometers that was walked or run, we would donate 1 Maoji bucket to a needy community. And we set ourselves a target of 15,000 kilometers to be run communally, and this was going to be, and then the buckets were going to be funded by our partner, Aqua for All. And we really had some fantastic global success and local success. We got a lot of coverage in the local media. We got a lot of local and international influencers on board, including Manal Rostom, the face of Nike Hijab. So what was the actual result? After a target of 15,000 kilometers, we actually smashed our target and hit 68,000 kilometers. That enabled us to reach to deliver 450 Maoji buckets to communities. Now, also, as these were manufactured by people of determination, it also allowed us to generate a lot of inclusive job opportunities in the production of these. And we managed to reach 75 new communities with these buckets. I'll just show you this in some visual pictures on how we impacted the world. Thank you very much.
Let's now invite Indus Hospital for the best innovative solution.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Saira Khwaja. I'm representing the Indus Hospital and Health Network. And I'm going to talk about innovations in primary healthcare and essentially providing that last mile of health. So, oops, sorry about that. Everybody knows the basic problems, the big one being access. While we have a lot of primary care centers across the country, people are still unable to get to them. So here's Rahima from Ali Bengali from Badian district. She's unable to take her child to a clinic because the closest clinic to her house was 2 hours away. She would have to wait for her husband to come back and take her to that clinic, which meant he would lose his daily wage. The other issue is, again, affordability. And then while things are free, things like vaccines, we spoke a lot about that today, they're available for free. But when they're at a distance, again, the same concept comes in. People have to travel long distances. So this is, again, Shamim. His story is he's from Rajanpur district. He lives across the Indus River. So he is unable to get the free vaccines the government provides because, again, there is no service which gets to them. So what the Indus Hospital and Health Network, while it sort of embarked on its primary care journey, thought about was how is it that we can provide last mile sort of health solutions to the people and be patient centers. So these are the two solutions which have been which we've embarked on. One is container-based clinics, and we use used containers and refabricate them and create container-based community health centers. And then below we have a mobile health clinic, which essentially gets to the communities who do not have access to centers which are across the river. So they need to spend a lot of money. So just very quickly, within these two sort of clinics, and I'll go in the next slide, I'll talk a little more about the ethos we function on, but there's capabilities of being able to do x-rays. We're connecting to the larger network by doing lab collection and getting those services. But more essentially, we're getting 70% of the ailments which can be cured to these patients. So be it vaccinations. So there are a lot of people who had never been immunized who are now being immunized. We have hepatitis C treatment getting to them, and ECG facility, the ability to do portable ultrasounds just by taking the facility to the community. So this is the primary care program model. We talk about more than just a doctor seeing a patient. This has to be more than that. So of course, there's family medicine, which is generalist health. We want the doctor to be patient-centered, but we really truly believe that we must hear what the community has to say, and each community is different. So when we went to the community across the river, they had different needs, they had different challenges, and we had to make sure we brought those solutions to them and didn't go with a one-size-fits-all approach. So that the community also had ownership. Just to give background to where we took our boat clinic, this was historically a place where a lot of we had a lot of government operations because a lot of robbers and thieves lived there. And so people had never had access to healthcare for the last 60 years. Any service which came there, they thought it was a way of getting and killing the people there or capturing and taking their sort of husbands and fathers away from there. So for us, we really need to build that community engagement. Again, public health programs historically are siloed. So important, again, to ensure that they were integrated. It wasn't that, someone was told you have malaria, please go somewhere else. Or if you must see now malaria doctor now that we've told you. So bringing in those systems. And then acute care, again, very critical because historically Acute care is thought to be something which you can only deal with at a tertiary care hospital, but it is important to triage, it is important to stabilize, and it is important to then go to the next mile and get them linked up to a hospital. So with our boat clinic, we also have a boat ambulance. What really this allowed us to do, and again, we're very big on what the community says back to us. Rahima said, she felt empowered. She could take her child to the container clinic. So this hospital has empowered women. Before this, the village women couldn't even think of going anywhere without a man. Now they get their children treated all by themselves. Again, a story, anecdote from when we first visited, just a bunch of doctors with us who were there. We had a line of women with their children just standing, being like, today, please provide these services to us. Affordability, basic things. Pakistan, unfortunately, is one of the few countries where polio is still there. And, Shamim is now able to take his child and get them vaccinated at the boat clinic because it's coming to them. This is sort of what we've achieved. Again, we want to make sure that, the gender difference is balanced. So 51% of our visits are from female patients. 35% of our visits were for children, so focusing on the maternal and child health indicators. And Pakistan is #1 in the world for hepatitis C, so we've ensured that hepatitis C is integrated. It also has the cheapest hepatitis C medication, but somehow we were not being able to achieve treatment, but we've ensured that it is integrated within our boat clinic. In the end, I'd like to leave you with this video about our container-based clinic to sort of give you the feel of what it looks like. If you could play the video, please.
हाँ शादी लाल गए दवा लाया सी उते पिराट में मज़ो कोनो असी गरीब माण्हू मज़ूरी कंदा आहियूं पहिरीं असां बदीन में ॾेखारे कोन फ़ाइदो थियो तव्हांजी महिरबानी तव्हां सुठी दवा ॾींदा ऐं ॿियो असांखे हिते सहूलियत रत जी टेस्ट जी बि सहूलियत आहे असांखे ॿिन्हिनि बि चयो त हिते वेंदा त तव्हांखे सहूलियत मिलंदी डॉक्टर बि सुठा आयल आहिनि
शादीलाल में रहंदा आहियूं त उनजे करे हिन इंडस में आया आहियूं शादीलाल वारे में मुकमल सही दवाऊं पियूं हलनि सही इलाज सुठो पियो हले मुकमल बच्चा बि सही सलामत आहिनि डॉक्टर बि ॾाढा सुठा आहिनि सही आहिनि वॾा डॉक्टर आहिनि हर ॼाणूं था हर कुझु बीमारी उनजे करे असां हिते अचूं सभु शइ मुफ़्त में मिले पई न को पैसो न को पाई कुझु बि ख़र्चु कोन थो थिए असांजो कुझु बि ख़र्चु कोन थो थिए असांजो
ऐं शादीलाल
Thank you very much. Let me invite NRS for the best innovative solution.
Yes, my name is Martina. My surname is Aureli. Okay. And I'm here representing NRS Relief, a company developing and supplying core relief items and multi-purpose shelters. So it is with great pleasure that today I am introducing this innovation, the Cradle Tent. This project has been designed by the UNHRD lab. So the innovative thinking and the creativity of the research and development unit came to life in Pakistan, where we developed family tent that can be supplied with a packaging which can be reused by end users as a cradle for babies. So the approach adopted to develop this innovation is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we definitely focused on SDG 12, because the focus is on end-to-end sustainability, as the project aims at reducing waste. We also focused on gender equality and women's empowerment, because a very crucial support for the realization of this project was given by the women working in the female unit of the stitching department. And of course, SDG 17, because the project is the outcome of a collaboration among different stakeholders. And I will show you later in details also other external partners that participated in the project, like a UK-based charity. So the family tent that you can see in this slide has been designed for emergency use during humanitarian crisis. And it is usually supplied on wooden pallets or on cages. So our challenge was to transform the packaging in a solution that could be reused by end users. And of course, we had the challenge to have a final product that could be considered as sustainable, logistically friendly, so lightweight and cost effective. With all these clear objectives in mind, our technical department and the production team worked together to realize a sustainable packaging 100% made in Pakistan. So I was mentioning earlier, a very big support was given by Empathy Action, which is a charity based in UK that was able to deliver a training online to teach and help women to realize some of the items that are included in the cradle tent, like the teddy comforters and the baby blankets that are made by using upcycled waste material from our production of relief items. Also, the cover, the cradle cover, the cover of the wooden box has been realized by using upcycled refugee tent waste material. We talk about innovation because the family tent itself is made of a material that can be, it's intended definitely to minimize the environmental impact because it can be recycled or collected even in low technology environments. But the main innovation, the main point is definitely the packaging solution that embraces all the main principles of the circular economy. And the project, as you can see, is designed to keep the waste out and also to keep the products and the material in use. A curiosity that came to my mind when I was preparing this presentation was that when we research or read about circular economy, we also read a lot about the cradle to cradle concept of design. And this was not done on purpose, but we can definitely say that behind the cradle tent innovation, there is a cradle to cradle concept or design. Finally, I would like to show you a brief video that will explain again the rationale behind the innovation and will also go briefly through the product specification.
This project has been entirely designed, developed and manufactured here in Lahore, Pakistan. Home to 207 million people, Pakistan is the world's fifth most populous country. Women represent 49% of the total population. Our participation in economic activities has gradually increased over the years. However, we still need to go a long way to achieve gender equality, as only 25% of Pakistani women are represented in the national workforce. We recognize that women's empowerment is at the heart of development and progress. The focus is on end-to-end sustainability as we provide a family tent with a packaging that is to be reused as a cot for toddlers. For this beautiful project, we reuse waste from our production. For example, virgin polyester from our blankets to make teddy bear comforters for children.
अब मेरा जो ब्लैंकेट को टेडी बेयर की शक्ल में जिंदगी दिया ये ब्लैंकेट किसी को गर्मी चाहता है ये टेडी बेयर किसी को मुस्काने का ये ब्लैंकेट
मेरे ना आया बालू बना के ते मेरे घर दी ना जरूरत आया बालू बच्चों दी सारी मेरे घर दी ना मैं ये काम करके ना बड़ी खुश होनी है कि दूजियां दे बच्चों दी भी जरूरत पूरी हो रही है ना बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे दूजियां दे बच्चों दी भी जरूरत पूरी हो रही है बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है
and I look forward to receiving feedback from all of you.
Thank you. And now we'll invite Global Aid Hands for most remarkable SDG-focused project.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the opportunity. We'll go directly to the presentation.
The White Nile State in Sudan has experienced an influx of refugees and internally displaced persons from ongoing regional conflicts. This has disrupted the livelihoods of the local host communities. This has disrupted the livelihoods of the local host between the refugees and locals that can rapidly spread along ethnic and political lines. An emergency response was required to provide sustained stability and to remedy this volatile situation. The objective of the GA intervention is to promote social cohesion and peaceful coexistence between the 2,000 refugees and the 2,000 host community members by improving and sustaining socio-economic infrastructure that reduces poverty and boosts the rural economy. Other GA objectives include enhancing food security through environmentally sustainable methods and addressing social issues, social justice, and strong legal institutions, gender equity, gender-based violence, women's reproductive health awareness campaigns. The context analysis that was conducted identified key threats to the stability of the communities in the WN states. Key threats: the presence of a large number of refugees and IDPs, the prevalence of poverty, high youth unemployment, women at risk, contested land ownership. An economic opportunity mapping was conducted in refugee camps and host communities. Key economic activity: agriculture, fishing, livestock, private entrepreneurship, private entrepreneurship. Several activities to accomplish its four main objectives. The beneficiaries for livelihood ventures were registered and identified. The delivery of assistance was also carried out in the form of training, material support, startup capital, follow-up services, and much more. The assistance in irrigation farming included provision of material and skills as well as application of innovative farming techniques and advisory from research institutions. Small-scale business entrepreneurship was also supported through material support, startup capital, and training. Community management committees were also formed and were supported with capacity development training. GA put in place legal arrangements, including statutory and customary laws to avert and resolve any potential dispute over land. This assured landowners that their land will not be taken away from them by refugees, but at the same time, it ensured that refugees' access to land under the commitment of the landowner is protected. Sensitization campaigns on gender equity and gender-based violence were organized. All necessary training, startup capital, material support, and follow-up services were delivered with the support of global partnerships and the UN Development Program. The following small-scale entrepreneurial activities including skills training and material were supported. Vegetable and fruit trade for women. Small business, grocery shops for women, festival equipment rental for women and men, tailoring and clothing repair for women, handicraft for women, food processing, bakery for women, soap making for women, tractor repair and maintenance, tricycle repair and maintenance. CMC was established and training was conducted for the members in the following areas: common use of resources, conflict management and resolution, conflict mitigation, peaceful coexistence, gender equity, SGBV, community security, natural resources management, rights of the disability, human rights and refugee rights, leadership, conflict management, resolution, mediation, and prevention, natural resources management, NRM, gender equity and responsiveness, project management cycle, financial management, reporting and basic monitoring and evaluation, MNE. Two-piece building and social cohesion awareness-raising campaigns were conducted. A football sports competition, as well as an open day and folklore gathering, was organized. Women-friendly spaces for case management of GBV survivors were established and maintained. At GA, we aim to change families and communities one step at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Most remarkable COVID-19 response project. I invite the Citizens Foundation. Sarah.
Thank you, Hanan. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, rather. My name is Sarah Siddiqui, and I'm part of the executive team at the Citizens Foundation UAE office. First off, I'd like to thank the respected members of IHC for shortlisting TCF as a finalist in the COVID-19 response category. For those of you who are not familiar, TCF is a non-profit organization that builds and runs schools for less privileged children in urban slums and rural areas across Pakistan. It provides formal schooling to children who would otherwise never be able to go to school. Started off in 1995, and 20 years down the line, today TCF is running more than 1,600 school units with 266,000 deserving children in 700 locations across Pakistan. We are also the largest private employer of women in Pakistan, with an all-female faculty of more than 12,500 women. Now, as the COVID-19 pandemic hit Pakistan, because of government regulative, schools were shut down in March 2020. And the key challenge the TCF faced was that 99% of our students don't have access to digital resources or a smartphone. So online education was just not an option to continue their learning. So how do we resolve that problem? Our education department did a lot of research. They looked into the Ebola crisis in Western Africa. They looked into war-ridden areas and discovered that the primary role of education in a crisis such as this is to provide positive engagement, mitigate the psychosocial impacts of the crisis, and establish routine. So our objectives were threefold: to ensure that students stay connected with formal learning, ensure that we enhance their functional literacy and numeracy skills, and mitigate the emotional impact of the disaster on our students. And what was the solution? The solution was Ilm Ka Angan, or the Learning Courtyard. We launched a colorful and engaging TV show in partnership with the Federal Education Ministry of Pakistan that was accessible to 2/3 of the population across Pakistan. And an offline resource by the same name called Edutainment Magazine, which promoted self-study and engagement through fun activities. So how did we execute this? In April 2020, we launched the TV show on national television in partnership with the Education Ministry. It was structured around play-based early childhood education, which is already being conducted in TCF schools across Pakistan. Ilm Ka Angan episodes engage the students with storytelling sessions, theme-based videos, activities, and physical exercise segments. This is just an example of some of the segments that were in the TV show, and I'll show you a short video to give you a better idea of what the show incorporated. Could you run the video, please?
The Citizens Foundation पेश कर रहा है इल्म का आंगन।
मैं हूँ मरियम आपा। मैंने सुना है कि बच्चे आजकल घर में बैठे थोड़े बोर हो रहे हैं, इसलिए मैंने सोचा कि क्यों ना मैं हमारे प्यारे बच्चों के लिए एक ऐसा शो लेकर आऊं जिसमें हम कहानियां भी सुने, खेलें भी और बहुत कुछ सीखें भी। हर किस्त का आगाज हम 5 मिनट की वर्जिश से करेंगे ताकि हमारे बच्चे पूरा दिन चुस्त और तवाना रह सके। यही नहीं, हम कहानी वाली आंटी से एक कहानी भी सुनेंगे।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, मैं हूँ कहानी आंटी सानिया और आपको पता है मैं आपको कहानियाँ सुनाती हूँ अपनी पसंद की। कभी कभी मैं आपको आपकी पसंद की कहानी भी सुनाऊंगी, लेकिन ज्यादातर मेरी पसंद की।
तो बच्चों, देखना ना भूलिएगा इल्म का आंगन, हर इतवार सुबह 11 बजे पीटीवी टेलीस्कूल पर।
So that was our TV show. And then for the offline resource, we had separate magazines designed for our primary and secondary school students. They included DIY experiments for play-based self-learning and included stories and comic strips to strengthen their reading skills. The magazine is a free and open resource that we were willing to share with anybody who would like to utilize it for promoting the education of their students. That included education ministers and other nonprofit operating in the education sector. The magazine can be picked up from any TCF school across the 700 locations. And the best part was that it's within walking distance of the communities where we operate. So every fortnight, the students would complete the activities and pick up the new issue from the school. The teachers engaged with them through messages delivered via mobile phones, although they were limited in access, and homework was exchanged through the teachers via the drop-off points. This is just an example to show you what the primary and secondary magazines look like. You can see that there are a lot of DIY activities to keep the children engaged. Coming to the results, we aired 17 episodes of the Ilm Ka Aangan TV show and reached out to 8 million viewers across 4 channels every week. We also encouraged the children to submit their artworks and any other activities, and TCF received 4,000 submissions every week. That was the extent of engagement that we were able to bring with our students. We've printed 150,000 copies every week, and we still continue to do so. And to date, we've printed almost 1.4 million copies that have been distributed across Pakistan. 96 branches of 21 other low-cost schools have also used the magazine to engage their children and help them learn outside the classroom. The good news is that the TCF schools are now open, and thanks to the TV show and magazine, the children have had a smooth transition back into school. There is strict emphasis on personal and premise hygiene, and the SOPs are strictly being followed. The results that made us smile when the schools opened, we had feared that we might see a dropout rate, but the best part is that the children are back to school and there was no decrease in the enrollment, especially the girls. We continue our journey in education with a better understanding of how to teach the children in times of such crisis. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sarah. So our last member, we're going to present again Global Aid Hand and the most remarkable COVID-19 response project.
Thank you for everyone. We are working in the most conflicted area in Sudan, where there is a BA area in the border between South Sudan and North Sudan, where it has multi layers of conflicts, and it's out of reach coverage by the government and even by the any NGOs. So we're trying to respond in that area for the COVID-19s.
Bordered between Sudan and South Sudan, a BA has been for many years caught between the civil war team had raged between governmental forces and rebels. The people of North Arabia has also been caught in the chronic multi-layered conflict involving the Miss Syria nomads and the Young Dinka farmers. This has forced Many people to be displaced and has left the people lacking in the basic amenities.
Lacking in the basic amenities.
Acute and chronic food
They are
insecurity,
facing
collapsing
chronic
healthcare
food
systems,
insecurity,
lack of
collapsing
access to
lack
drinking
of
water,
access to drinking
sanitation
water,
and hygiene
sanitation
services.
and hygiene services.
The people bore the pain and
The
the
people
cruelty
bore
meted
the
down
pain
to
and
them
the
due to
cruelty
many years of
meted
civil
down
war.
to them due to many
A
years of
remote
civil
community
war.
that has borne the ill effects of war and is also facing a migrant populace,
the ill effects
displaced
of war,
populace from
and is
South
also
Sudan,
facing a migrant
creating an
populace,
imbalance in the
displaced
entire
populace
ecosystem.
from South Sudan,
Adding to this
creating an
burden,
imbalance in the
people
entire
residing in
ecosystem.
this area faces
Adding
tribal
to this
conflict,
burden,
environmental
the people residing in this
degradation,
area
drought and
faces
floods,
tribal
in
conflict,
addition to the current
environmental
economic and health
degradation,
crisis.
drought and floods, in addition to the current
has a
economic
minimal
and health
healthcare
crisis.
infrastructure that caters to an
VA
ever-growing
has a minimal
population,
healthcare
which has put an
infrastructure
immense strain
that
in the
caters to an
ability to
ever-growing
manage and provide
population,
proper healthcare
which
to the
has put
people.
an immense strain in the ability to
The
manage
need
and
for
provide
assistance
proper healthcare to people.
and help to many remote areas is
need for
challenged by the
assistance
inability to reach the area
and help
due to
to
the heavy
many
rainy
remote
seasons
areas
that
is
fall
challenged by the
continually
inability
9
to
months
reach
in a
the area
year.
due to heavy rainy
The
seasons
need for
that fall
humanitarian aid
continually 9
to help the
months in a
people
year.
is now a matter of urgency
The
to
need for
sustain
humanitarian
lives.
aid to help the
In
people
the
is now a
beginning of
matter of
2020,
urgency to sustain
the
lives.
world faced the biggest challenge
In the beginning of
known to
2020,
mankind
the
within
world
decades
faced
was the rapid
biggest
spread
challenge
and death toll
known to
taken
mankind
across the
within
nations
decades
by
was the rapid spread
COVID-19.
and death toll.
No person was
taken
left
across the
untouched
nations
by this rapidly
COVID-19.
spreading microorganism,
No
and as
person
the
was
developed
left
countries
untouched by this
struggled with a
rapidly
virus that
spreading
left a death
microorganism,
trail in its
and as the
path,
developed
North of
countries
Bay faced
struggled
one of
with
its
a virus
greatest
that left a death
humanitarian
trail in
and
its
health
path.
challenge in the
North
quest to
Bay
stop the
faced one of
spread
its
of
greatest
COVID-19.
humanitarian and health challenge in the quest to stop the spread of
GA rose to this
COVID-19.
challenge to initiate integrated community-centered
GA
health
rose to this
services
challenge
within the
to
communities in
initiate
northern
integrated
VA,
community-centered health
displaced,
services
returnees,
within communities in northern
refugees and
VA,
host communities,
displaced,
to maintain and
returnees,
improve their health
refugees
status
and
during
host
the
communities,
COVID-19
to
outbreak,
maintain
with
and
minimal
improve their
negative
health
impacts on
status
the
during
overall
the
health
COVID-19
situation in the
outbreak,
area.
with minimal negative impacts
We
on the
reached out
overall
to the
health
local
situation in
communities
the area.
and caregivers through various means of
We reached
communication,
out to the local communities
set up
and
mechanisms
caregivers
to
through
bring
various means
awareness,
of communication,
conduct trainings on
set up
COVID-19
mechanisms
infections,
to bring
and
awareness,
establishment of
conduct
quarantine
trainings on
centers and
COVID-19
isolation
infections,
centers in
and
North of
establishment
Bay.
of quarantine centers
A lot of effort
and
has gone into
isolation
working
centers
towards an
in
integrated
North Bay.
community-centered health
A lot of
services
effort has
to
gone
address
into working
basic
towards
needs
an integrated
and empowering
community-centered
people
health
to have a
services
more
to
active
address
role in
basic
their own
needs
health.
and empowering people to have a more active role in their own
One
health.
of our success stories is in the timely intervention provided out to Haj Al,
timely intervention provided out to
an
Haj Al,
80-year-old shepherd who resides in the suburbs of Abu Ghazala. He came in stating that he has symptoms of chest pain, kidney ache, general fatigue in the body, and loss of sense of smell and taste. Our IC team suspected that the case was a COVID-19 case, where a sample from the patient was taken for testing to Unicef laboratory in the southern part of Abia. The result came positive, and it took much convincing and debate with the family to allow Haj Al Tayyib to stay in the isolation center, based on the protocol for their father. Though, the team struggled to emphasize on the importance of the current health protocols, initially with the family, the needful care and recovery of Haj Al Tayyib changed the view of his family. Like Haj Al Tayyib, 50,000 residents of the villages of Northern Ivy have benefited from the health interventions and environmental sanitation in response to COVID-19 emergency project, supported by the Sudan Humanitarian Fund, such as the villages of Aldir al-Janubi, al-Raydaya, Care, al-Askar, Kli, Abu Ghazala, and Nam Market, al-Tashween. At GA, we aim to change families and communities, one step at a time.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you to all the finalists who presented their projects. Now, please take 1 minute. And this request is to our audience that are watching us remotely to vote for the winning project. We'll take 1 minute to vote, and then we will take one small session to prepare the wording, and then we'll close the event. Please vote for one project in each category. Do we have the full result yet? Okay. We'll allow 1 more minute. So I know 54% of the audience have only voted until now. May I ask the rest of the audience to start voting before we close the voting session? Okay, 60% voted. We're getting there. Just give me a sign. Give me a sign. Okay, so there's 4 categories. In each category, you will have 2 projects. You can vote for the best project in your opinion in each category. Okay, we closed the voting. We will announce the winners in a while. Let me now invite my colleague Adel Maymoun, who's going to speak to our guest, Mr. Abdurrahman bin Haider from WLP, World Logistics Passport. Please, Adel.
Hello, everyone. Shukran, Hanan. Thank you very much. A quick session about WLP, World Logistics Passport. Before we have our guest, we have a short video. Now we're going to play for you now.
The World Logistics Passport is the first global multimodal freight loyalty program, which offers financial and non-financial benefits to its members, having key partners in Dubai, such as DP World, Emirates, Dubai Customs, and JAVSA, having over 130 benefits offered to its members. Today, the World Logistics Passport is expanding globally, having 10 current hubs registered and activated in our program across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. At the end of this year, we will be focusing on creating more hubs across the world, aiming at 18 hubs by the end of the year, having countries such as Kenya, Thailand, and China. The WLP program works to facilitate trade by providing efficiency, reduce costs, and offer a greater market to its members. WLP has 3 different tiers: silver, gold, and platinum. Every member will be progressing through those tiers depending on their trade growth. Today, we are honored to have IHC opting in the WLP program as a key partner, offering humanitarian benefits to our members and their members. What does it mean for IHC to join the WLP? Now, WLP and IHC work together to create a tailored tier for IHC members. It's called the relief tier. The relief tier is aimed to provide IHC members specific benefits and efficiencies in their operations. The relief tier operations with the help of IHC has two key advantages over the other tiers. The first advantage is that all IHC members will opt into the WLP and get the golden benefits immediately. The second advantage is that WLP and IHC will support and offer specific priorities in the aid of unfortunate global crisis. In that time, all IHC members will be more efficient and priorities in their operations to extend their aid in a faster manner. In conclusion, the World Logistics Passport, with the help of IHC, will work towards making its members' operations smoother and more efficient. On top of that, the WLP does not require fees to join. It is mainly to facilitate the logistics and transportation of goods across our hubs. We hope that all of you will join the WLP program.
The video, if you can put Abdurrahman, I can see him online. Abdurrahman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, fantastic. Just give us a second. My colleague will put you on the main screen. All right, welcome, Abdurrahman. Thank you for your time earlier last week, recording the video, actually this week on Sunday. A few questions from our members who are joining remotely. If you can give us a historical background about the WLP, the World Logistics Passport, how did it started, and what is the purpose behind this initiative?
First of all, I want to thank you guys and thank the Humanitarian city in Dubai and for hosting such an event and inviting me to this event. The World Logistics Passport was launched by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum in 2019 as part of the Dubai Silk Road strategy. It is a multi-stakeholder initiative led by the government of Dubai together with private and public entities. The World Logistics Passport, as mentioned in the video, is the first global multimodal freight loyalty program, which aims to reinvent trade by promoting the development of South-South corridors between Asia, Africa, Latin America, while reducing costs and improving efficiencies for all the beneficiaries. WLP members will be with the highest growth in trade are rewarded with benefits, financially and non-financially, such as reduced documentations, discounts on processes, and priority access through customs. In a nutshell, more to facilitate and smoothen their logistics operations. Today, there are 10 hubs registered in WLP with numerous benefits for participating hubs. Benefit providers and members, the WLP will support access to new and extended trade markets, lower freight trading costs, build an image in regional leadership for freight, and further develop seamless multimodal trading.
Abdurrahman, thank you. I would like to ask you about the humanitarian impact of the WLP. If you can explain to us how WLP is going to impact the humanitarian needs and the distribution of aid.
Let me first start by mentioning the relief tier. The WLP generally has 3 different tiers. the silver tier, the gold tier, and the platinum tier. But working with the IHC, we've created a special tier called the relief tier that provides an exceptional benefit package to humanitarian organizations. The first one is limited time bundle. Now, in case of such a global crisis that's going on, we know that there are a lot of priorities that is needed. Specific exceptional benefits are offered by each partner for a limited time frame, targeting specific particular emergency crisis that may emerge. These benefits would be above and beyond that would normally be addressed within the WLP and tailored based on the relevant emergency. That's the first key difference in the relief tier. The second key difference is that everyone getting the relief tier will be entitled to get all of the gold tier benefit. Outside of targeted crisis support, organizations providing relief are automatically given gold tier benefits, regardless of the trade growth through the hub, for their operations that involve humanitarian support cargo. And now, what is the benefit for the IHC community in joining or taking part of WLP? IHC is one of the WLP's targeted partners, and by opting in the WLP, they can tailor their own benefit package applicable to commercial and humanitarian entities operating within the free zone. In addition, IHC's support is crucial for the implementation of the relief tier, as well as the communication and engagement of humanitarian organizations both in Dubai and other countries across the world. This support can result in additional benefits, further improvement, and reduce cost and time.
And you mentioned several times WLP partners. Could you please explain who are the partners behind the World Logistics Passport?
So currently we have more than 30 partners opted in globally that are providing benefits to reduce the number of process steps, time, and cost required in the logistics journey end to end, as well as enhancing market access for traders and freight forwarders. Dubai Customs, DP World, Emirates Sky Cargo, DMCC, Dubai South, ECI, and Fly Dubai are just some of the examples of the partners we have on board, with many other both in Dubai and our international hubs.
And finally, I would like to ask you, how is the World Logistics Passport going to benefit its members?
So, as I said, all the members in general using the WLP will have the 3 different categories based on their trade growth. This is outside the humanitarian special tier. And they climb the tiers based on their trade growth and their contributing trade into the hubs. And with every tier, they get more and more benefits from our partners. And for the relief tier, they got the 2 benefits that I mentioned before.
Do you mind mentioning them again, the benefits of the relief tier?
Of course. So 2 key differences for relief tiers. Number 1 is for the limited time bundle. And it is for the exceptional benefits. It is always going to be exceptional benefits, not always the same, but it will be offered for those relief tier members for the emergencies or crises that may emerge in the future, and it will be available for a limited time frame. These benefits would be above and beyond what normally be addressed within the WLP and tailored based on the relevant emergency. And for the second key difference is that all the relief tier members will be entitled to go and apply for all of the benefits for the gold member. Outside the target crisis support and organization, they will all be entitled to get the gold tier benefits.
Abdurrahman bin Haider, Head of World Logistics Passport, thank you very much for this Q&A session. I would like to inform our members that We would schedule a more extensive session with Abdurrahman, and all our members can join in for this session. Thank you very much. And I would hand over now back to my colleague Hanan. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Adil. And now we're going to announce the winners. And I invite Giuseppe to award the winners for the day. So for the most remarkable awareness campaign, we have Project Maoji. For the most innovative humanitarian project in this hospital. For the most remarkable COVID-19 response, the Citizens Foundation. For the most remarkable SDG-driven project, Global Aid Hand. There's this special award to the strongest.
Leave it with me.
Okay, you want to have it.
This is something that I initiated last year, and there is always the surprise of one special award. And this year, I believe that it was quite difficult for me if I should consider the job that has been done by many colleagues. And at the end, I decided to go straight to the WHO team, because really they did a very extraordinary efforts. I'm not going to minimize the job done by all the other colleagues who basically ensure the response to COVID-19, and not only. I'm not going to minimize the job done by the colleagues of WFP or the colleagues done by MSF, the colleagues of IFRC and so on. Everybody really did an extraordinary work. But this year, really, I believe that Robert and his own team deserve the special award. So Robert, congratulations if you're still there. And I hope that we can deliver to you the trophy soon. Thank you so much. Let us go to the conclusion of this bizarre meeting, hybrid meeting. And in the conclusion, let me start from the words of Anand this morning when she was showing you the last edition of the video magazine, the special edition. I'd like to recall that the video magazine, the purpose of the video magazine was to replace the newsletters, which usually nobody read. Now I'm trying to stop the idea, even 3 minutes of video magazine, there is no time to watch it. But the point is of the video magazine is not our video magazine, in the sense that it's not the IHC video magazine, it's not the communication of IHC video magazine. That is your video magazine. And that is the reason why Anand and in all the messages, we try to solicit your contributions for the video magazine. So please take the opportunity. The board substantially approved to create the Flash Media Studio, and I believe that you should take the opportunity. Whenever you have the need of creating awareness about your activities and so on, I would strongly recommend to call the colleagues of communication and to use the resources that are available as well as the assets. We went also through the 2020 activities. Congratulations in this case to everybody, because really it has been a big effort. I believe that the resources that all of us made available last year was quite unbelievable. But I'm optimistic, but I have to tell you that this year is not going to be less than 2020. It's going to be more job than what we did in 2020. And unfortunately, I believe also in 2021, considering that the time that is needed in order to go ahead with the vaccination campaigns. Special thanks to all of those that are going to have some minutes of patience in responding to our experts and consultants that are going to touch base with you for the strategy of 2020-2025. I told you where I'm seeing personally IHC, not myself, but IHC in the next 5 years. And what I believe is that the strategy should be designed together. It is obvious that at the end is going to get the final clearance of the board of directors, but I believe that we should bring to the board something that has been at least somehow something that received the inputs from our members and partners. Then, thanks to all of those that are going to contribute for building up the Center of Excellence for the Health Logistics. This is not going to be just a baby of IHC and WHO. Buran explained that we are going to involve academic institutions, other foundations and organizations such as Health Logistics. Alia was together with us today, and Robert. We are going to involve the private sector again because we intend to learn, including myself, how health materials should be managed in the proper way and in the proper facilities. And this is something that we intend to share with all the other humanitarian hubs. We don't consider that this is our project. This is the project that we intend to make available for all the humanitarian hubs. So that is the reason why I'm saying thanks in advance for those that are going to open their doors. Marta, did you catch my message? See, thank you. And then thanks, of course, to the colleagues and partners of the World Logistics Passport and the Dubai Vaccine Logistics Alliance for having joined us today, for providing us some information related to the two initiatives. Whenever you need additional information, we are ready to take over your requests and sharing, of course, the response with everybody. A special thanks, in my opinion, deserves also the Wollongong University for their announcement. We will sit together with them. This is something that, again, I don't like to say that was part of my personal dreams, but to see that we are starting in cooperation with the universities, at least to be into the next step of building the future generation of the humanitarian workers, the future generation of the humanitarian leaders. I believe that this is extremely important, especially in this region where access to the humanitarian studies is something that I don't like to say literally impossible, but whoever has the desire of embracing the humanitarian study is almost obliged to go into Europe or into the United States. Martina is saying, yes, you're right, Giuseppe, because Martina is one of those who basically what she did is that she went into the Italian university for getting exactly and embracing this wonderful road. So this is my special thanks, honestly, to the colleagues of the Wollongong University. Thank you very much to all of those that joined us today via video conference. Thanks to you guys that physically accepted to be here today. Let me renew the thanks already expressed by the chairman to the colleagues of the International Humanitarian City, in particular to the communication team and IT. Would be better, Aaron, for next year. Try to adjust a little bit the tools. I'm pretty sure that this is part of the game, some inconvenience. Anyway, thank you so much to everybody and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Okay, we are closing the event and you guys all can come out, have some coffee after 3 hours of good listening. Thank you.